Doomsday Queen here, and we are going to be doing our off-grid special going on the channel. If you are new here, make sure that you subscribe, like, and hit that bell for notifications. We are going to be dumping a ton of off-grid content this week.
This week I'm going to be doing an off-grid series out here about staying warm in the winter. Currently it is 21 degrees, but tonight is supposed to drop down to about 7 degrees. I will be staying inside of our camper that we have out on this property for the fact that we do have a mountain lion that has been very active on our property. I'm currently trying to hunt him down, get him to come out tonight or maybe tomorrow night. We're just finishing digging out a fire pit. The ground is pretty frozen. Our normal fire pit is actually through those trees over there, but because there's a mountain lion that likes to roam around here, we figure bring a fire pit a little bit closer to where I'm going to be staying. It's just gonna be me and Magnus out here. Alright, it's really cold out. It is still snowing. The passes were kind of insane to come over, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. We do have a generator, have about 10 gallons of gas, and 2 propane tanks. So we should be able to stay warm while we're out here. Just starting to warm up. It's been cold. There wasn't a lot of tracks. I think the storm kept most of the animals in. Mainly just rabbits is all we saw.
So last night as we pulled onto the property, we had just established putting up our gate about a week ago on this property. We have over 70 acres. When we arrived, it was about 24 degrees and it was snowing like crazy here. There was so much snow all over the ground. I'll take you guys outside to show you what it looks like. But we also had a wind factor. Over here we get a lot of wind. So there was about 10-mile-an-hour winds, which was making it feel like it was about 19 degrees. Later on in the night, it did drop down to about 11 degrees in temperature. It was very cold. There was a lot of issues with our vehicle that I did not expect right off the get-go. But once again, we prepped for everything. So understanding that there is going to be problems that stir up when you are going off-grid, or say if you were bugging out. This is one of our bug-out vehicles, and we were having trouble getting the furnace lit. My husband had already left, and I had noticed the temperature. I was doing a live, and the temperature kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and I started to see my breath on camera, and I realized, okay, I need to go assess this. This is going a little bit further than I expected for this one, for the first moment getting here. So I had to go outside. It, once again, is 11 degrees. Change out the propane tanks, refire up the furnace, and voila, we had heat inside of here, which is really nice. When I say we, it is me and my German Shepherd Magnus that is putzing around. Today we are going to be doing some tracking. We do have a mountain lion on this property. We have over 70 acres, and he's become quite a nuisance. So with this fresh snow that's dropped, there's about 4 inches out there. When we got here, it dropped about 2 more inches. We're going to go and look for him and see if we can just figure out where he's hanging out on this property. So when we got here, I was starting a fire from the elements. I have brought fire starters, I have brought other things, which will be brought later on into this film. But when I was starting the fire, I wanted to start from what, if you were bugging out and you're not wanting to dip into your reservoir of supplies, I wanted to make sure that I could get it out of the trees myself, even though they were covered in snow. So I was peeling back bark, pulling dry bark from behind that bark, finding wood that was sheltered and it was not soaking wet, and starting a fire. Now, I was using a ferro rod. Ferro rods are great and easy. A lot of people on the live segment were frustrated because they were like, she should use a lighter, she should use matches. You're not always going to have a lighter or matches, and a lot of people preach ferro rods, but they cannot use a ferro rod to save their life. So I was creating a nest, got the fire started, and sure enough, the wind blew and snow just came and got on it. So then I had to attempt to use my body as a shield on the snow to protect it, and then got the fire finally started. It did take about 15 minutes, which is not bad because you watch a lot of other people do it and it takes a lot longer. But if I wanted to lie and cheat the method, I would have just recorded the success and just posted only the success. You have to see the hardship that comes along with it. But getting the fire started, making sure that the heat was working, making sure that my dog stayed warm, and now we are into the next morning, and I will start making some freeze-dried food. I brought different varieties from all different types of food. I brought freeze-dried food that I have freeze-dried myself and created my own MREs. I have brought Mountain House, and I have brought Dry Wholesalers, and I believe some Ready Wise and My Patriot Supply. I've brought everything just to test it out. That is one of my favorite things I like to do. So today we will be doing one of my true and favorite ones is Mountain House biscuits and gravy. I love this recipe. It's great. It works perfect. It's a great amount of calories, especially because me and Magnus are going to get ready to go on a hike to go search for that mountain lion on the property. We got about 70 acres to trek through, so
I'm going to be rehydrating some freeze-dried corned beef. What you're going to do is you're going to take out one of these corned beefs, you're going to put it inside of a Ziploc bag and fill with cool water, and you're going to let it sit for about 8 hours while it rehydrates up slowly. This is what the corned beef freeze-dried looks like. It has fat naturally in it. And then you're going to place it inside of a Ziploc bag and you're going to add cold water. Alright, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour in some water into a Ziploc bag to rehydrate this corned beef overnight and grill it up tomorrow. Alright, now that I have my corned beef sitting in water in a Ziploc bag, I can leave it on the counter, leave it in a cooler, or just set it in the fridge. Because it is freeze-dried, it's completely shelf-stable. We are actually not using the fridge in here right now. I'm just setting it out here so that the dog doesn't get to it. The sun is just starting to set. Been recharging the Jackery. The Jackery is what's running the Starlink. The storm was pretty wild last night. We got quite a few inches of snow. It warmed up into the 30s today, so some of the snow is starting to melt. But the first project that we are going to have to finish this week is building a wood shed. A problem we ran into is most of the wood was wet. So when I was trying to start a fire, I was trying to dig from the bottom to find the dry. It's absolutely stunning out here. I hiked up over there, over that ridge, and then over through the next ridge, and then down into the valley, and then came back up to camp. I only had to run the generator once through the night to re-kick on the heat. It was 11 degrees last night. Tonight's supposed to be a little bit warmer, so I'm hoping I'm not going to have to run the generator at all. I will be sitting by the fire to stay warm most of the night before we turn in. Need to reposition some of the trail cams out here. We're going to be boiling up some water. Tonight we will be cooking up freeze-dried broccoli. Now that we got the water boiling, we're going to pour it over the top of our broccoli. You can rehydrate your broccoli with cold water if you want it to be a little bit firmer, but if you use boiling water, it's going to be a little bit softer. And just wait for it to rehydrate. After letting the corned beef soak in water from this morning, it's ready to be fried up. The best way to cook this corned beef, the freeze-dried corned beef, is to give it a nice slow rehydration. That way you get to keep all the flavors inside of it. All you have to do is stick it in a Ziploc bag with some water and just let it sit. Next, I'm going to just take a little bit of bacon grease and bring it over here to my cast iron. Using a little bit of bacon grease, I'm just going to warm up the cast iron. This is what the corned beef looked like originally. That is freeze-dried in here and completely shelf-stable. It's from Dry Wholesalers. The most amazing thing about this company is they have a way to freeze dry fat, and fat is essential for your body's health, along with protein to help your muscles stay healthy. This is what the freeze-dried corned beef looks like before I rehydrate it, and this is what it looks like after it's been rehydrated. Now that I'm pulling out my rehydrated corned beef, it is doubled in size. It looks absolutely beautiful. And then I'm just gonna fry it up on a skillet just the same way I would cook it normally at home. I'm just gonna fry up the corned beef on one side, and then I'm going to flip it to fry it up on the other side. After frying it up perfectly on both sides, it's ready to eat. I also brought homemade applesauce that I canned up last fall. For dinner tonight will be fried up corned beef, freeze-dried corned beef, freeze-dried broccoli, and homemade canned applesauce. Alright, you guys, the corned beef is absolutely amazing. I've almost ate everything in here. The applesauce, the broccoli. The broccoli looks like it's just cut fresh. Phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Great dinner. Off the grid.